All right. Our sharks this evening are the panelists, Dr. Aaron Banger with AT&T, Paulette Jagers with BMO Harris, and Stacy Zorn with Kangaroo. Each of the teams will be represented by 2 of their team members who will have 5 minutes to present. Our sharks will then have 3 minutes to ask them questions. The sharks will be judged to judge the designs based on 5 abilities: usability, feasibility, sustainability, desirability, and of course, accessibility. Are you ready, sharks? Are you ready, sharks?
Yes.
All right. Let's bring up the first team to go into the Shark Tank. First is Nines Design, promoting employee independence, accessibility, and safety with a wearable device. Representing Nines Design, woo, yes. Representing Nines Design today are Taylor Dortona, who is a senior at American University studying law and disability, and Joe Uvalli, who is an accounting graduate from University of Central Florida. Can't talk. Come on up, guys.
I think Joe's mic'd, so I'm going to have to stay at the podium.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello, Sharks.
Hello.
My name is Joseph. This is my partner, Taylor. We represent Team Nines Design. First and foremost, we want to personally thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to provide knowledge and insight for us young, aspiring professionals. We are a team of 9 unique individuals with supremely diverse abilities. And boy, we have a phenomenal product for you guys today.
Hello, I'm Taylor. And like Joe said, we had a team of 9 people with diverse abilities. We had people with physical disabilities, developmental, cognitive, auditory, and visual disabilities. We were tasked with coming up with a workplace solution for people with disabilities. And we said, well, is there anything in the workplace that all of us have problems with? Can we solve for a giant, massive problem? And at first we were skeptical, but after talking for a couple hours, we discovered that there actually is something that all of us fear when we're in the workplace, that bothers all of us. And we haven't had an avenue to address this until now. And that would be emergency preparedness and evacuations. When we thought about this, we said, you know what, people with disabilities, quite frankly, they are SOL when it comes to emergency preparedness. It's true. And we said that there is a need to change this. Well, we came up with a bunch of wearable devices, said, well, we can definitely solve for this problem. But the problem became, we didn't want this to be a Scarlet A. We didn't want people with disabilities to be the only people in the office that have such a device, because that's further stigmatizing people, further marginalizing our community, which is not the goal. So we said, well, what can we do that will allow us to not only promote independence in the workplace, help for emergency evacuations, and also make this product status quo office culture to wear a device. And we said, okay, well, what do we all have in common? A lot of us came from military backgrounds, government corporations, and government contracting, and what we all have is an ID badge. So we decided to combine security with emergency preparedness. So how we've done that, okay, cool, you guys can see me. It's in this little device right here. So for those of you who can't see, and Joe, they all have one. Oh, good.
Yep.
So for those of you who can't see, it's a spherical device. This is obviously a paper prototype. It would be in plastic, lightweight. It would be worn on a lanyard, just like you would your CAT card or whatever you're going to call it. I came from the Navy, so CAT card. And so it would be worn around. It's spherical, very small, a little smaller than the palm of your hand. And you have, I'll explain the elements. So the first part, you have the RFID chip. This is already in place. It's an infrastructure that all of these companies already have. And how that works is we actually discovered, after talking to all the mentors, that you can program these chips. And you can program them with unique profiles. So we would have an opt-in program where persons with disabilities or without them who need services can actually program these for their specific infrastructural needs. So Joe, for example, for those of you who have ever swiped one of those military access cards, it assumes 3 things. It assumes 1, you have the reach to be able to actually swipe. 2, it assumes that you have the fine motor control to be able to swipe. And 3, it assumes that you know the location of the actual reader. So if you don't, if you've ever been in this position, you're waiting outside the office for someone else to come and help you. And that's not promoting independence, and that's not helping the office environment for inclusivity. And it's also not helpful for workplace productivity, because that's time wasted that you could have been in the office. And so we've eliminated for that. Now everyone in the office is wearing these. But now back to the original problem with emergency preparedness and evacuations. So what we've designed here, in the middle we have an LED screen. It would be available in large print, don't worry. And so how it would work is that when there's an emergency, let's say a fire, across the screen would say, fire evacuation in progress. Please proceed to the nearest exit. Or we have a shooter on the base. This is what you need to be doing right now, because these are very different protocols. And so you can actually see this, but we've also prepared for other kinds of disabilities so that we have a microphone and a speaker in place so that someone can talk to you, security personnel, and say, hey, there's a fire evacuation in place right now. You can also call for help and say, I'm stuck right here, I need help. Better than that, it's great to ask for help, but only if someone knows where you're located. And it turns out RFID chips have GPS location on them. So we'd create a tablet device for security personnel that can locate exactly where you are in the building. This is preventing a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's cost affordable. The infrastructure is already in place. We're promoting accessibility with a usable, universal design advice that's actually accessible for all persons and promoting safety for people with and without disabilities. Thank you.
A standing ovation before the questions. Awesome. Awesome. All right, Sharks, do you have any questions for these designers?
Bring it on.
Is this waterproof? So can you go in the shower with it, or?
So thank you for asking that. A lot of people who we told the idea to said, why stop at corporations? Why stop with this kind of stuff? What about hospitals? What about schools? What about in-home use? And we have decided that, yes, it absolutely would have to be water resistant to accommodate for different disabilities.
Okay, thank you.
In an ideal world, it would be kind of like what Iron Man Tony Stark wears around his chest. It will definitely be in some sort of container, not as big, obviously,
yeah.
but that is basically the concept for you guys here in the audience, so you can kind of get a better idea of our product and where we got our inspiration from.
We're all superheroes, so I'm cool with being an Iron Man.
So I have my RFID badge right here. I don't know how much it costs. Any idea how much one of these?
So based on the 3 hours of prep we had, we discovered that it's approximately $18 in order to produce these, including the cost. So that's including for the cost of the machine. So that's an initial one-time cost, obviously. So we think we can get the price point of this, given that this would be primarily for people who are purchasing in bulk at roughly $100 a unit. So currently it's $18 a unit, and so for approximately $80 more, you're preventing a lawsuit, a major lawsuit, and you're also promoting accessibility. And we said that that's a price that any company should be willing to pay.
So is this would just be you'd buy these for the employees with disabilities at that extra $82 a price point?
No, that was important to us, that everyone have access to this technology. That not only visually, that everyone should be wearing these, again, because you don't want the scarlet letter. You shouldn't have to be able to say you're the person with the disability in the office. But beyond that, there's a lot of people who need help in emergency preparedness and evacuations. Anyone could get stuck in a situation and need help where they are when in a timely fashion. So it definitely would be, everyone would be wearing these.
What makes our product so special and unique is the fact that it's customizable. You're able to, depending on what your disability is, there's so many of them out there, and they're all special to that one particular individual. So with this device, you're able to, like I said, customize it to that particular person's capabilities, and whatever they needed help with, of course, that device is going to be more geared towards and designed to someone personal issues. So take like an able-bodied person, for instance. They would have that around them on their neck and everything. However, they might not need all those extra features. And
They're available if you need them.
Exactly.
So how do you deal with the human factor of people, all employees walking around with a microphone that may or may not be live at any given time, that has a GPS that may or may not be tracking them at any given time? How do you deal with employees going, well, are you using this information for some other reason? Maybe you're loading that into up into the cloud and using your big data analytics to figure out who's talking to whom, who's not talking to whom, that sort of thing.
Thank you for asking that. So we did on our team, we were fortunate enough to have an IT guy, so he helped us out in this realm. So equivalent to like the CAT card today, the cards that you use, they aren't actually GPS locator trackable unless you actually have the boxes, those black boxes, those swipe boxes. So once you are off base or once you are out of the office, you're not going to be able to be tracked anymore because you are outside of the zone that actually does that. So that, don't worry. And then also none of this stuff would be recorded. So that was a big reason why we didn't want this to be a phone application because we know for PCI compliance for credit card stuff. And then we also know for a lot of security companies, you have to not have a phone in the office. You can't have anything that transmits information. So this transmits information as far as audio visual goes, but because it's not recording any of this, we could not foresee this being a security issue.
And because the product is so specialized, not everyone is going to have that speaker option on their particular item. So again, with that, so you're not going to have just random people, walking around yelling, "Hey, how you doing today?" or whatever. So that is namely and specifically designed for someone who needs it.
So the microphone will be on all of them, but not the speaker, or would the microphone only be on certain badges?
Well, take me for instance. I am a quadriplegic with very limited finger function. So for me, something like that is going to definitely need to be on there because there's going to be obstacles in the workforce and just in general where you're going to need to describe where you are and what kind of help you need. And so like I said, not everyone will have that particular function.
So if any company has a particular need, we can take away or potentially add a function. We also would have a phone jack at the bottom in case you're wearing earphones in the workplace, to minimize distractions so that you wouldn't have to, you might not be able to hear the fire alarm or see the fire alarm because you have your headphones on like I wear when I'm at work. But because does have a phone jack in it, then in theory I would just be plugged in so that no matter what, I do know that there is an emergency in progress. And because we have the vibration system, you'd also be able to know to look at the screen. So yeah, it would definitely be customizable to the company or to the organization.
All right, Sharks, any more information? Good. All right. Round of applause for Madam Suzanne. All right, next into the tank is My Ears Incorporated, presenting a card applicable application for cell phones. My Ears. Representing My Ears Inc. today are Allie Chisenhall, a recent graduate in chemical and biomolecular engineering from Johns Hopkins University, and Regina Barrias, originally from Guatemala with a BA in industrial engineering and a current MBA student at Carnegie Mellon. Welcome, My Ears.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity here to learn from everybody. You are all an example, and for our team for making such a great work on our project. So my first question will be, of all of you people who has difficulty following a conference conversation, a big class, especially on a noisy environment or when the person speaks too fast, will you raise your hand? It's a big crowd, of course. So as a person with a hearing disability whose first language is not English, for me to find last year about card service was a blessing and a lifesaver. So, but I started thinking, how about lowering the costs and adding flexibility to my life? So I started wishing I could take that amazing translator that I have, miniaturize her and put her in my pocket so I could take her everywhere with me and ask for help when I need it. Also, by lowering the cost, we are giving more accessibility for individuals that could not afford this product. So our target market will be the 38 million people in the United States that have some kind of hearing disability. And by adding the percentage of people that actually use smart devices and download applications, we will reduce it to a more realistic 17 million people. To produce this, we will hire a full-stack developer and a UX designer to improve the existing technology for sound-to-text converter and to make it like a real-time translator. We will outsource this to a company in Latin America where the costs will be much more cheaper. And hopefully people can download the application to any of their smart devices and use it anywhere they need it and close the gap between half understanding what they are saying and 100% understanding. It's like having subtitles for your life.
So when we were first putting it together, we wanted to figure out exactly what capabilities we wanted to give the application. So we knew we wanted to have, the typical things any application would have: a login, your own personal info, settings, you could pick your notifications, anything like that. So we designed it so that you can go straight into it with your own personal settings and just click start and it'll go. So based on how a phone is set up, it's typically going to be turned sideways. You'll get more visibility, and you'll instantly see that speech-to-text translation in real time. And at the same time, it's not just going to be showing that, it's going to be recording it kind of like a film and recording the audio. What this allows us to do is look at it later. You're going to have a system of organization. So there's going to be different folders that you can name yourself, put together. You'll have your files. They can be defined by time, anything that fits your schedule, whether you're a student, going to meetings, whatever works. The nice thing about that is that we're going to be able to look at it like a movie later. So whether it's being used for a hearing disability, or if you have a processing problem and you need to have your lectures recorded and you need to slow them down, you'll have that option, so it'll reach a broader audience. In terms of what's on the market now, there are a whole bunch of different types of applications that are trying to do this, but there are two broad ends. There are free applications, which, as we know, with most free applications, they don't really work. And then we have applications that are about $500 a year, which adds up. Our application is $15 for one-time payment, that's it. And think about how much money you'll end up saving by doing that and be able to use the funds that normally go towards your disability for other things that you shouldn't just be able to do already, but you can get new things that you don't have access to. The other thing that we think is super interesting about this development process is that it has a lot of range in terms of where it can go. So there are a million different directions for this. I was talking to so many different people, and I don't have a hearing disability. I don't understand directly what people who have hearing disabilities get. So I'm not going to know every single thing that would be helpful on a phone application for this. But talking to different people, I got amazing suggestions. One was having captions for phone calls, using the technology in different parts of just different things you can do with your phone. Overall, we think that it has huge range of development, and it basically is going to bring back that sense of independence and spontaneity that people with hearing disabilities and any other disabilities really have, but shouldn't be binded by.
Question, Schultz?
Does it come in different languages?
Yeah, so the way we have it set up for now is we have it set up with 5 languages. That's kind of one of the ways it can develop, though, in the future. Like, we wanted to get kind of a basis. We don't want to start too complex, build this application, and then test it with people who actually want to use it, and they say, well, I don't like the way it does this. So our initial basis was the 5 languages, which is going to be accessible through your settings.
It's a lean startup. We just want to invest $15,000 at first.
Okay. So what is the range? Do you have to be If you're in a lecture hall up front, can it pick
Right.
up in the back of the room?
So the way we have it designed, it's basically going to be able to pick up close range, or if you want to be at a farther distance, utilize a microphone and a Bluetooth connection. So you can be out in the back, but have that Bluetooth connection to the front.
That already exists for cochlear implant. The teacher can wear a mic and have the compilot, so I can be anyone.
Could I see the prototype?
Oh, yeah. This is the actual text. This is kind of the divisions that we have going on.
So would you use the libraries here as what's been recorded, or how are you going to train the speech recognition to be of quality that's useful?
So, can you repeat the last part?
So how are you going to train the speech recognition? You mentioned you're going to do speech recognition for the speech to text. How are you going to train it well enough to all the different voices that the hearing impaired person might encounter to get it at a quality level that would be useful?
So the way that we have this developed, it's ultimately based on a situation that's somewhat like a conference or a lecture where there is a single person talking at a time in the front. If it's a room with a lot going on, where it could pick up external sounds, that's kind of what our goal is of the microphone with the Bluetooth. Someone did mention a suggestion about that, which I thought was super interesting, in terms of having a way to identify the voices at the beginning and somewhat like tag them, like you can tag a person in a picture on Facebook, to where it recognizes the voice that you give it a sample of in the beginning and it follows that code throughout. But that's, again, something that would be a great opportunity to expand on, but not something that we put in the original model.
So is this designed more for the single speaker setting, lecture setting, not
For now.
around the table dinner conversation?
Right, for now that's where it's at.
And a comment, I don't know if this will answer your question, but I am thinking in terms that the language the car people use is called steno, and they have these small keyboards where basically each keyboard is a phonetic sound. So if we could replicate that on a software program that will translate much more quicker than doing it word by word, letter by letter, which is the actual how it works.
Other questions, Sharks? All right, a round of applause from right here. You guys stay up. So our panelists are going to deliberate for a few minutes and come up with a winning team. How'd you like to have that job? Picking from those two projects? I don't know. So they're gonna talk up here. While they're talking, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the wonderful prizes our teams will receive. Our runners-up team will receive a lovely ESPN or Mitsubishi Electric Walleye Championship bag, filled with a few goodies from Mitsubishi Electric, along with the runners-up team will receive a $10 gift card, and the winning team will receive a $50 Visa gift card from Wells Fargo Bank. And that's per person, not split between the teams, just to be clear. So, all right. Sharks, are you ready? Anna, do we have a winner? All the team members from Nines Design, come on up to the stage. Nines Design, come on up.